Eddie from way out there in New Mexico hit me and said, what do you make of this huge wave of coaches leaving the G5? And do you think it will slow down anytime soon? Eddie, wish I had better news. No, I don't think it'll slow down anytime soon. So as of today, as best we can tell, 7 head coaches have gone G5 to Power 4, 19 coordinators, 32 position coaches. Many of them have seemingly taken lateral or even backwards moves. Sean Elliott, we just saw hanging up as the head coach of Georgia State to go be a position coach over at South Carolina. And congratulations to Columbus, Georgia's Del McGee for getting the Georgia State job. Just a little side note there. So anyway, what do we make of all this? Well, it's pretty easy. It's pretty cut and dry. The G5, as an entity, as like a collective, is on more shaky ground than it's ever been on before. So as much as the big boys complain, and as much as elite head coaches behind the scenes talk about their plight and how unmanageable the current structure of college football is, I listen to it and I buy into it, but there's also a side of me that says, are you kidding me right now? Like, I'm not just going to make up generic names. If you're a head coach in a major Big Ten program, if you're a head coach in a major SEC program, you're kidding me right now. At least you have recourse. Your recourse when your staff or your roster get rated is you go down to the G5 and it's just heartless. It's like watching orcas hunt in packs. You go take from the G5. But what do? It's the question. Those are the dudes I feel for. Because there is a world right now in the G5 ranks where you do everything right and you lose. You go and you identify talent and you recruit them and land them and develop them. And you hire soundly, so you build a strong staff. And right when you get to where it's all supposed to pay off, someone comes and takes your tight end and 2 best receivers after spring ball. 2 of your interior offensive linemen get NIL deals from desperate lower-tier Power 4 teams, and 2 of your coaches leave at the 11th hour, and you're gutted, and you go into the fall, and you probably had a 9 or 10-win campaign coming up, and all of a sudden you go 5-7 because there is no contingency plan for being gutted after spring ball, and at the end of the day, everyone looks at you and ignorantly says, well, he is what his record says he is. It's one of the big lies in college football, especially in the G5 right now. You are what your record says you are, right? Well, they're looking around and saying, hey, this game's hard enough to win as it is. But if you're taking my fate out of my own hands, screw that. I'm out of here. And if I have to take a quote-unquote backwards move in the interim, I'm going to do it. Because I'll go be the wide receivers coach at Michigan State as opposed to being a coordinator or head coach in the G5, because at least I'm on the iceberg out there before it detaches and floats away from whatever this landmass is I'm standing on right now. It's happening. Wish it wasn't. It's happening. And I don't even know, because in addition to all those problems I pointed out, okay, so you've got your roster being gutted, you've got your staff being gutted, but on top of that, you turn on shows like this one, you go read the latest Ross Dellinger or Pete Thamel reports, you don't even know what conference you're going to be in or if it'll even exist as part of major college football in 3 or 4 years. You don't know if you'll have access. You don't know if you'll even be subsidized by the big boys like you once upon a time have been, or if that money will cut off and therefore your existence is threatened to cut off. You don't know. They don't know. And they're not experts in this. These guys are experts on coaching offensive linemen and working on DB play when the ball's in the air. They're not experts on this stuff, nor should they be. But it's scary, because for you and me, it's the sport we watch on Saturday. For those dudes, it's their livelihood. And it's really scary. I know it's not foreign to you guys. A lot of you, we had this at my company last week. Got good people doing their job, and all of a sudden they're out of a job. You've dealt with this at your place of employment. It's no different with these guys. You may think because they make more money it's different. It's not. It's not. And listen, a lot of them don't make nearly the money you think they do at the G5 level as well. So, Eddie, it's happening. I had one of them tell me last week, the biggest fear is the music eventually stops and we don't have a chair to sit in. That's the way he put it to me. And that was a head coach at a G5 school. So, I don't know how it's going to end. I don't think the decision makers know how it's going to end. I'm hopeful, But, remember 3 weeks ago, Jesse was reminding me of this earlier. Remember about 3 weeks ago, I had a segment we did on the show, and I just kind of put it out there, and I told you, hey, not everyone's going to survive this thing, this shift that's coming. Not everyone's going to survive it. Not every program is going to survive it. Not every conference is going to survive it. And I'm talking best case of best case scenarios playing out. Not everyone's going to survive it. And I had some folks come at me and say, why should we accept that? Why should we ever accept your scenario? Because that includes programs dying off. You don't have any other choice because that's where we are. This is not 2007. If we go back then, hopefully we could speak some common sense and reverse engineer a different outcome, but we don't get to do that because this is the real world. So you're 2024 and moving forward, what's going to happen? Should I share? Yeah, I'll share this. So, guys, it's kind of dire. There are certainly paths where this stuff doesn't play out this way. Okay, so first I want to say that there's certain paths where this doesn't have to play out this way. There are other paths where it doesn't, and athletic departments, even at the highest levels, are having to prepare for that. And let me tell you something that was fairly alarming to me. You've got all kinds of schools out there in any given year that are replacing coaches, but they're also replacing administrators and athletic directors. You know what one of the questions certain major institutions are having to ask in the interview process for new ADs is? It's, are you prepared to be the face of cutting sports? Cutting non-revenue sports. Are you prepared to do it? And if you answer no to that, you're probably done as a candidate for that job. Because the thinking is, in the near future, there will be non-revenue generators, men's and women's sports, that get cut because that's the landscape you're headed towards. And I'm not talking about poverty schools. I'm talking about some of the big boys out there even that are having to deal in that right now. So, like I said, doesn't mean it has to go that way. And I don't think we're over the cliff yet. Okay, smart enough people in the room to save us from that. But there are also selfish enough folks in the room to hurl us headlong into that. So, fingers crossed again. I've done it like 3 times in the show, fingers crossed.